Okay, so basically the idea for this story was that somebody could just upload and download people's thoughts and emotions and basically who they are into anybody they wanted to. And the example I had always given was that if somebody was dying in front of them, and I think this was kind of the inspiration for that idea, they would just be able to take their thoughts and everything and then put it into another body so that person would have new life and everything. So basically, what my thought for how the story kind of starts, like background information of what happens before and everything, is this kid gains the power to do that, to move people's thoughts and basically who they are from one body to another. And there is plenty of really wealthy, kind of overlord type people who wanted to live forever. So they're trying to kidnap this kid and try and figure out how he was able to do that so they could recreate it and just move themselves over to a new body whenever they got too old or were mortally injured or whatever. He's obviously doesn't like it and tries to run away and tries to fight him off. He has this really intelligent friend of his who thinks that his powers are a terrible thing, not something to be glad about or used just whenever. But he doesn't stop his friend because, he always tries to use it for good and not to do bad things or anything. One day, his friend ends up getting shot, and as he's dying, even though he says that he doesn't want it, the friend with the power ends up taking his thoughts away and holds them in himself. Now, with two separate thoughts and emotions continuing to go through it in one brain at a time, it doesn't end up working out. His brain starts almost, you could say, corroding, and he starts going insane. Now the thing is, two separate minds in one brain ends up doing this, but if he actually were to kind of mix them around to where it was more of one brain process instead of two different people thinking inside the same brain, the part where they're all mixed around into one new person can actually work out, but he can't use his powers on himself. Like, he can't move himself to somebody else's body. He can only do it to other people. So he starts going insane. But there is a girl that he ends up meeting and becoming close friends with as well. And and further background information for her, she's actually the daughter of one of the people who are trying to capture him, with mercenaries and everything. She ends up running away because how he mistreats their wife, and you'll later find out in the story that he was really trying to catch the guy in the first place so that his daughter could live on a longer life, a second life, because there is some sort of cancer or illness that can't be cured. So she's just doomed to die in the future before, she grows to be old or something. But they don't find this out until way too late. But because he's going insane, he's not the most stable, and even though the girl doesn't find out about his powers, and his friend keeps on telling him inside his brain not to use his powers to try and disperse it into like smaller creatures, because he can also use his powers on small creatures like the flies or something, but they can't hold as much knowledge, so it'd just be like taking pieces of his thoughts and memories and emotions away piece by piece, which would be very painful, but he'd rather that happen instead of him hurting another human being or something like that. But regardless of both of them, he ends up putting his friend's emotions and thoughts and everything into the girl, and because he doesn't want them to turn out like he was starting to turn out, insane and everything, he mixes them all up into one new person. Now this is where I kind of wanted the story to start, because the new girl doesn't know what's happening or anything. She just ends up meeting him, finding out about his powers, and he goes to stop the people permanently from searching for him again. and this is where she kind of learns the powers and everything. And basically, what I didn't really have a middle section. Like, he obviously has to fight some of the mercenaries and everything to get to the person. And I was thinking there's probably multiple people after him, which he might do something there since he's still not fully mended and he's still kind of mentally broken, I would say, like not in the perfect mindset and everything. He might start twisting with their brains and really freak out the new girl later, especially since of her memories and everything from both the boy who thought that it was awful powers and everything, and her link to her father, which she might remember some of, but all of her memories haven't come back yet, because whenever the multiple minds are mixed around, they kind of forget their memories, but they start coming back to them over time. But it's like trying to remember 2 old lives instead of just 1. So it kind of takes a while and everything. But yeah, in the end, something might start happening and she gets flashbacks from her old memory and start realizing what actually ended up happening. And might be kind of upset with him for what he did to them, both the old guy and girl, because they didn't know. But then that also starts conflicting at the very end with her, the fact that she's not going to be able to live a full long life anyways. So I was thinking there might be some sort of sad ending for them where she ends up dying in his arms because of whatever that illness was. And even though he wants to move her to another body again, since the original version of the guy didn't like it, plus the whole issue the daughter had with her father because of how cruel he treated his family and stuff, trying to get the said power, the girl refuses to let him use the power on them again, and this time he doesn't, and it kind of ends there with her sadly dying off. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had for a story. If anybody else has any thoughts or ideas or maybe some tweaks and changes about how the story could go or should go or anything else like that, just put them down in the comments, and thank you for watching.